Hi everyone, it's Laura Volpes and today I'm back to share with you the third card that I created as a guest designer for InkOn3 this month. If you have seen my past videos, you will know that I have been trying to experiment with their Atelier inks to see how they perform using different techniques, and today I will be focusing on stamping. If you do enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section down below. And if you're new here, you can subscribe for more card making and paper crafting inspiration. And also don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any of my future videos. Alright guys, let's get started. Let's have a quick look at the products that I'll be using today. This stamp set here is called Boujee and I'm going to use this beautiful image with the kiss to create a background for my card. I'm also going to use these adorable critters here. This stamp set is called Platy-rific. It's also by InkOn3 and I'm going to use the coordinating dies too. To create my background, I'm going to do some stamping with this Marilyn Red Atelier ink, and then to start off with my background, I actually took one of my pre-cut A2 card bases. These are by scrapbook.com and it's Neenah Solar White 80 pounds cardstock that is already cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, so it's pretty convenient. As you can see, I already went ahead and started doing some stamping. I mounted my image on an acrylic block and I did that on purpose rather than using my Misty, on the one hand because it's a little bit faster and on the other hand because I wanted to test how these inks perform with stamping. The ink pads are rather juicy and the coverage of the inks themselves is really great. You can see here how easy it is to get a great impression. There are a couple of user errors here and there, but that's because basically I cannot stamp anymore without a stamping tool. As you can see, in order to get this pattern paper effect, I am rotating my stamp and I'm also making sure to stamp the image a little bit off the edges. And then because I was having so much fun and I really wanted to test these inks, I decided to perform a couple of experiments aside from my card today. To be more specific, I wanted to see how these inks perform with layering. So what I'm doing here is I am stamping the image once, then I am moving my cardstock and I'm stamping it twice, and then I'm moving my cardstock again and I'm stamping it 3 times to see if I can build up the pigment and get a darker color as I go and add more and more layers. I am not sure if you can tell very much on camera, but in real life there is definitely a difference, especially between the first and the third image, so the one that I stamped once and the one that I stamped 3 times. I also repeated the same experiment off camera with the other colors of Atelier inks that I have. I am missing a couple of shades, but you can see the difference here in the images that are stamped once, twice and 3 times for the different colors on screen. And also, let's take a moment to admire this pretty rainbow that we have on camera at the moment. Anyway, as I was experimenting, because I saw that the inks were layering pretty nicely, I thought that I wanted to check what happens if you layer different colors. So I went ahead and I stamped my keys here with Marilyn Red ink, and then I went directly on top of that using my yellow ink. You can see here that we created a shade that is in between the yellow and the red ink, so you can basically expand your color palette by stamping your inks on top of each other. And you can see some examples here on screen where I have different layering options for my inks. The top left is blue and green, the top right is yellow and green, the bottom left is the one you saw, and the bottom right is blue and purple. So you can see you can continue experimenting and creating these in-between shades by layering your inks. Alright, after my experiments were done, I moved on and kept working on my card, and it was time to stamp and color some of the images in the Platy-rific stamp set. I'm using InkOn3 Blackout ink to stamp the images on some Neenah Solar White 110 pounds cardstock, and I'm going to do some coloring with Illustrator markers. Blackout ink is a hybrid ink, so you can use it with your alcohol markers as well as with your water-based media. In terms of the coloring, I kept things rather simple today. I mostly wanted to focus this video on stamping, but I didn't want to just keep the coloring out of the video, so I hope you'll enjoy this part as well. I started by coloring the duck and I added some shading with my B01 marker. So I added some shadows with that B01, which I then blended out with CR4 and lastly with CR2. As you can see, I left a little bit of a gap between my shadows and the edge of the image, because this creates a little bit of a more rounded appearance in the image. This is something I have been experimenting with a little bit more often lately, and if you have seen some of my latest cards on my blog, you may have noticed that I have used this technique there. For the beaver, I used a couple of shades of brown, starting with the MB family that I used for his body. Because this is a little bit of a larger area, I actually used 4 markers here, and you can see that I am leaving that gap between my darkest shadow and the edge of the image, and I am then filling that area in with my lighter marker. I'm making sure that everything is blended nicely, and then I can start coloring the tail. Here I used a little bit of a warmer shade for my browns, and these are markers in the RB family. And then when the coloring was done, I used the coordinating dies to die cut out all my images. I secured them to my cardstock using some purple tape, and I ran everything through my Gemini mini machine, which by the way is so convenient. It is so nice to have these smaller die cutting machines on your desk to cut out your images. You don't need to get up. I don't know, it just makes it so much easier. Let me know in the comments down below if you have one of those and which model you have if you like. Here on screen I'm showing you some pearlescent vellum by Fawn and these Lacy hard stackable dies also by Fawn, and I'm going to use both these supplies to create some focal points on my card. Gluing vellum can be a little bit tricky, but if you use double-sided adhesive sheets, it will not show at all, because basically you are turning your vellum into a sticker and you are coating the entire back with a homogeneous layer of adhesive, so the result will be seamless. Using these sheets is pretty simple. You basically peel off one of the sides and you place your vellum or cardstock right face down in this case. I have the sticky bit here on the part that is lifted, and then you can basically push down your sticky adhesive sheet, press it against your cardstock or vellum, and here you are ready to die cut this piece and create a sticker. By the way, I just wanted to let you know that as I'm doing this voiceover, scrapbook.com exclusives are on sale, so it might be a good occasion for you to stock up on some great essentials, and I will have a link in the description box down below. Here is my vellum sticker, which by the way cut out perfectly, and I also went ahead and used the smaller dies to create 2 smaller heart die cuts. I also used the Waffle flowers A2 layers to cut out my rectangle into a size that was a little bit smaller than an A2 size, so that I could layer it with some black cardstock. And then at this point I started gluing down my hearts, and you can see it is very easy to peel off the back and these adhere very nicely to your cards. I was quickly checking that I was happy with some black cardstock as a base for my card, and then I used a tape runner by Thermoweb to glue down the front panel to the base. I tried to align things as well as I could, and then I went ahead and adhered my cute critters, and I decided to layer them on some foam squares to add just a little bit of dimension. These foam squares are not too thick, so the card will still mail out okay, but the extra dimension makes the card a little bit more interesting in my opinion. I scattered the dandelions on my card front. I also heat embossed my sentiment with white embossing powder on some black cardstock, and I cut it out with some scissors. The sentiment is part of the Boujee stamp set, and then as a finishing touch I added some red heart crystals with my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive and an embellishment wand. And here is a close-up look at the final result. As always, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you found it useful. If you did, don't forget to let me know with a comment and a thumbs up, this helps my channel a lot. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and to turn on the notification bell to always stay up to date with the release of new videos. Thank you all so much for stopping by, stay safe and healthy, and have a great day.